How could explosives be put inside the towers while people were working there? The packages of explosives could be placed in the area above the ceiling tiles. Each package would have a battery and a radio receiver. A computer would be able to detonate the explosives in any sequence by sending the appropriate signals to the packages. A researcher of the Kennedy assassination points out that most people believe in coincidence theories because they explain everything as being due to coincidence. For example, most people believe it was coincidence that all 4 airplanes were 50 to 80% empty. That Todd Beamer decided to spend his last 13 minutes of life talking on a lousy quality airplane phone to a stranger rather than his pregnant wife. That fire pulverized 3 steel buildings, even though fire never did such a thing before or after. That terrorists hit the empty section of the Pentagon. How do coincidence theories make more sense than conspiracy theories? Some people consider my book to adequately explain that the September 11th attack was a scam. However, some people who know me personally responded by giving me clippings of newspaper and magazine articles to show me that Flight 77 really did hit the Pentagon, and that Osama did not have any assistance from the U.S. government. I have also been told that the Discovery Channel thoroughly explains that fire caused the towers to collapse. Most people are certain that the true source of knowledge comes from large corporations, not individuals such as myself. Therefore, I would like to show evidence that some news reports are attempts to manipulate us, not educate us. For example, James Robbins claims to have seen Flight 77 crash into the Pentagon. When Robbins heard of Mason's accusation that Flight 77 never hit the Pentagon, Robbins wrote an insulting article for the National Review in which he claims Lenin, Hitler, and Pol Pot were just like Mason. However, those of us who question our government are not like Hitler, nor are we unpatriotic. Rather, we simply want the government to provide evidence for their theories. People who doubt that Flight 77 hit the Pentagon are equivalent to people in 1933 who questioned Hitler's explanation of the fire in the Reichstag, the German government building. Hitler claimed the fire was set by communists, and he used the fire to justify giving himself more control over Germany. Robbins tries to create an unpleasant image for those of us who question the U.S. government. Robbins is behaving like the propaganda writers of Hitler, Lenin, and Pol Pot. He is trying to manipulate emotions, not provide us with intelligent information about the September 11th attack. In fact, Robbins admits in his article that he never read Mason's book. Why would the National Review publish an article in which the author insults a book he never read? Are the editors really trying to inform their readers of world events? Or are they merely promoting the official government policies? Robbins is described as a national security analyst. He is also a professor of international relations at the National Defense University, which has this building in Washington, D.C. However, the staff, courses, and photos of this university make it appear to be a military agency, not a real university. In this photo, for example, a vice admiral is taking command as president of the university. President Bush must think highly of this university because he spoke there a few months before the September 11th attack. However, since James Robbins writes reviews of books he never read for the National Review, we ought to wonder if he is also providing his students with equally worthless material. We should also wonder if the National Review is a publication of the CIA. This would explain why the cover of one issue called George Bush a Conqueror, while another insulted Canadians as wimps. Although you may ignore the National Review, these types of publications do have influence over the public. These journalists alter public opinion, and that in turn affects your life and your nation. An example of their effect can be seen with a guy named Mike Collins. You probably know of Collins because he had his 15 minutes of fame in November 2000 with this cartoon about the Florida presidential ballot. Collins learned of Mason's internet site in August 2002. Collins looked at the photos of the rubble at the Pentagon and found himself unable to find any evidence of Flight 77. He became concerned that Mason might be correct, that the attack was a scam. His concern was brief, however, because he soon found a rebuttal to Mason at the Urban Legends website. This article shows that Mason is a fool. Collins was so impressed by this article that he considered it to fully answer Mason's questions. For example, Mason asked, "Why are there no pieces of Flight 77 in the photographs?" According to the Urban Legends article, the answer is, any pieces of wreckage large enough to be identifiable burned up in the intense fire. However, aluminum and steel do not burn easily. You can prove this to yourself with a gas stove. The flames in a stove are at the maximum temperature possible for hydrocarbons burning in the atmosphere. Therefore, if you cannot catch aluminum on fire in the flames of a stove, then aluminum ain't likely to catch on fire in the flames of an airplane crash. It's possible that the Urban Legend site was created to deceive us. After building up a reputation of honesty by dispelling some simple rumors, the CIA, or whoever, could slip in deceptive articles. This would explain why they would post that stupid article about Flight 77 burning up. Although Collins was impressed by the article at the Urban Legend site, the article by James Robbins seems to have had more of an effect on his emotions. Collins has a site on the internet where he posts his comments on life. His commentary for August 22, 2002 began with the angry sentence,
"I'd like to punch Terry Mason in the face repeatedly."
He ended that day's entry by repeating the paragraph from Robbins which contained the insulting comparison of Mason to Hitler and Lenin. Do you consider Mike Collins to be of no importance? Do you think I'm getting carried away with an insignificant topic? Collins is just one example of people who are influenced by deceptive articles. If you do nothing about the manipulation of the public, you are allowing the manipulation to continue. If, instead, you brought this issue to people's attention, more people might demand higher standards from authors, government officials, and political candidates. At the moment, nobody is under pressure to write intelligent articles. For example, Gary Bauer, one of the Republican candidates for president in 2000, tells us that Mason's book is obscene and disgusting. He goes on to refer to Mason as a lunatic, and he refers to his research as an hallucination. If Bauer offered evidence that Mason suffers from hallucinations, and if he supported his accusation that Mason's book is obscene, then his report would be worth reading. However, his article is nothing but insults. When children behave this way, we tell them to stop it. The world might improve if we discuss issues, but it won't if all we do is insult one another. Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney of Georgia wanted an investigation of the attack, and as a result, she received the same abuse as Mason. For example, Jonah Goldberg, an editor at the National Review, informs his readers that McKinney is dumber than rock salt and more repugnant than Yasser Arafat's 3-week-old underwear. In Florida, Kathleen Parker of the Orlando Sentinel writes that McKinney is possibly a delusional paranoiac. She also suspects that we tolerate McKinney because she's black, and we're afraid to criticize her because we might be perceived as racist. This is an amusing accusation when it comes from a woman. The reason is that we could use this same argument on her. In other words, we could say that the editors of the Orlando Sentinel are tolerating Kathleen Parker because she's a woman, and they're worried about being perceived as sexist. Wouldn't it be better if our media impressed us with intelligent articles rather than provide insults? The Orlando Sentinel published an article by David Porter in which he explained the 2 reasons he does not believe conspiracy theories. First, we conspiracy people would be killed if we were correct. Second, some government officials would do something to stop the scams.